Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who had to sneakily purchase and then hide their thongs in high school. I'm Hannah Leach, a writer, musician, audio producer, and someone unfortunately incapable of doing an English accent.
And I'm Audrey Leach, director, editor, producer, and someone who is sort of capable of doing an English accent. We are the sister duo also known as Two Pink Productions, and we haven't stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
Was that
good?
Going to explore. Yes, it was good. I bought it. We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today, we are talking about 2008's Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging.
There is a world close to this one, filled with mysterious creatures. Welcome to the world of George and Nicholson.
What's the first thing you notice in a girl?
It's your nunga-nungas.
Wow!
I don't think we should be doing this. It's lesbian-y.
On average, a person will have over 26,000 snogs in their lifetime.
Seeing old people over 30 kissing is just horrific.
From the director of Bend It Like Beckham. Hi, girls.
Put your tongues away, you slappers.
And Bride and Prejudice.
Libby! Stop putting Angus in the fridge.
Get ready to pucker up.
I'm a snogging sensation.
Angus, Thongs, and Full Frontal Snogging.
We have a really exciting guest today whose YouTube video essays have been single-handedly keeping YouTube afloat. Without fail, Mila Tequila's video essays about topics that we talk about all the time, like early 2000s pop culture, TV, movies, that kind of stuff, have kept YouTube afloat for years at this point, I think. I can't even tell you like how long it's been actually. Maybe it hasn't been that long. I just remember that the first video essay that she posted went extremely viral on YouTube, and all of her videos have like 1 million views. It's crazy, but she's good at what she does.
She's going to join us for the second half, as our guests normally do. So we're going to line up the facts, and then she will join us to unpack the movie. Okay, I have a question for the culture, but I fear it might be too deep.
The culture is super sick right now. It's actually really bad, period.
It's deep, but I think that it is relevant to our existence and especially our audience. As a lot of you guys are aware, there's a lot of anti-trans legislation that is being passed or being brought into like public knowledge, like the mainstream. And I have noticed that there are people, non-trans people, that are like posting a lot of like what I can only imagine are very triggering clips of conservative politicians talking and saying like crazy anti-trans things. Then at the same time, I'm seeing things from trans people and trans activists that are like, we see your silence. And so to allies, like, we see you're not saying anything. So I feel like this is a question that comes up time and time again, especially over the past few years. It's like, what counts as virtue signaling versus what counts as like speaking up? And like, what duty do you have like as a cis person to like post the upsetting shit so the other cis people see it and are like, wow, things are bad, versus are you just hurting trans people by resharing the stuff, even if the intent is to be like educational?
If you're gonna seek out information, you can find it. I don't really think you need to like rely on like Rob Smith to repost some vital links. Do you know what I mean?
Rob Smith.
Like, it's like,
Rob Smith is distributing resources for sure. To me personally, I have so many trans friends that I'm like, I don't need to be preaching to the choir. You know?
Yeah,
like,
no, that's kind of what I think too.
there's like a certain element of like when you're resharing that stuff, like you're kind of grandstanding, but at the same time,
You're not actually doing anything.
no, you're not
to
doing
be clear.
anything. I mean, but sometimes you will see something like, I know for me, sometimes I will see something where I'm like, this is presenting a thought in a really like digestible way for people that may not understand it otherwise. I think if you as a person find it genuinely helpful to you, then it is worth sharing.
Yeah. I don't see a reason, no matter who you are, that you need to be reposting anything really violent. I don't think having the involuntary forcing of the visual on people is ever a good thing. Even if it's somebody who does need to be educated. Like, nobody who sees violence, who like is unaware of these topics, is gonna see the video and be like, let me go fully educate myself on, like, I doubt that would happen.
Today especially, I've felt really icky about all of this reposting of like all this crazy anti-trans rhetoric, and I'm just like, this isn't helping at all.
No, I mean, if you really want to help, you should get involved in your community. The other stuff is just fluff. It's just news cycle stuff. It's not anything real. Okay, so we're getting into the facts for Angus, Thongs, and Full Frontal Snogging. It was released on July 25th, 2008, which makes this movie a Leo. Kind of makes sense. It was rated PG-13, and it was directed by Gurinder Chadha, who also directed Bend It Like Beckham. And I just wanted to add that she has an untitled musical project in pre-production, which seems very promising. It was written by 4 people, and then also there's a writing credit to Louise Renison, who wrote the books. And the books were originally published, the first book was published in 1999, but there are many of them. Gurinder Chadha and Paul Maeda Burgess, they are clearly a writing duo, and they write on all the same stuff, and basically the projects I just named for what she's directed are the same ones that he has written on and that she has also written. Will McRobb was credited also for the screenplay, and he's known for The Adventures of Pete and Pete, El Defo, and Radio Free Roscoe. I literally don't know. I think a lot of this stuff is like British stuff, especially with the actors too. It's like all British stuff. Chris Viscardi was credited, and he's known for Alvin and the Chipmunks and mostly the same stuff as Will McRobb.
Okay, some synopses. IMDb. The story centers on a 14-year-old girl who keeps a diary about the ups and downs of being a teenager, including the things she learns about kissing. Boo, IMDb, do better. Okay. Letterboxd. Georgia Nicholson is 14, lives with nosy parents who don't understand her, an annoying 3-year-old sister, and has to wear a beret to school. She would, however, rather be blonde, have a smaller nose, and a boyfriend. Revolving around her hilarious journal entries, prepare to be engulfed in the world of the soaring joys and bottomless angst of being a teenager. That is a banger, but it also feels like it was taken from the book and not for the movie. And now Rotten Tomatoes. Based on the books by Louise Renison, this tale follows 14-year-old Georgia Nicholson as she attempts to woo Robbie, one half of a pair of fraternal twins. Prone to getting herself into embarrassing situations and worried about her parents' marriage, Georgia discovers that being a teen can be a pain in the neck.
It didn't even occur to me that they could be twins. They didn't seem like twins.
Yeah, agreed. I did not know.
Taglines, there were actually no taglines on any of the posters I looked at. I kind of deduced 2 taglines through various means. I think one of them was Georgia Nicholson is not mental, but her life is. And I like that. I like that one.
Yes.
And then just from the director of Bend It Like Beckham, which is not a real tagline.
No.
As far as cast, we have Georgia Groom as Georgia Nicholson. She's known for The Holding, Inspector Lewis, and The Cottage, but she hasn't acted since 2018. However, she is doing something of note, which is being married to and having a child with Rupert Grint, aka Ron Weasley, and they named their daughter Wednesday. And then we have Aaron Taylor Johnson as Robbie. He's known for Kick-Ass, Nocturnal Animals, Nowhere Boys, and Bullet Train, which came out last year. But this shit is crazy. He is married to Sam Taylor Wood, who is 23 years older than him. They met on the set of Nowhere Boys. He was 18 years old, and she was his boss at the time. And they are still together to this day.
That's wild.
Yeah. Karen Taylor as Connie Nicholson. That's the mother. Mostly it's all British stuff. Nothing I recognized, but the sketch show is what she's most known for. Just a lot of TV, I think. Alan Davies as Bob Nicholson, the father. He's known for Jonathan Creek, Dog Eat Dog, and many more British programming things. And finally, Eleanor Tomlinson as Jazz. She is known for Jack the Giant Slayer, The Illusionist. She must have just had small roles in these, but Colette and the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland.
She's white and British, so always can get in on a Tim Burton joint.
And a Keira Knightley thing, I was like, yeah, that checks out.
Okay, and now for the budget. The budget for this movie was $1 million. Opening weekend in the UK earned $1,850,350. All right, so they already slayed it. They already frickin' slayed it. And then worldwide gross, this movie has earned $14,924,998.
Yeah, it's really nice that they were able to make it on such a low budget. Knowing that the books were popular, it's like they had a certain guaranteed audience there. So they were probably like, if we can make it for less, we can make a lot more. But it was kind of guaranteed. Okay, critical consensus. The critics' score was 73%. And the consensus was based on two of British writer Louise Rennison's popular books. Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging is a pleasant and funny tween comedy, comfortable for UK audiences as well as stateside crowds.
When people say stateside, I'm like, oh, how fancy of you.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Like, grow up.
Okay. Honestly, same. So some critic opinions. A bright, fitfully entertaining adaptation of two of Louise Rennison's popular novels for tween to teenage girls. The film lacks the wit and drama that might pitch it beyond the target demographic, though judging from what makes the girls squirm in the film, it might not succeed even there. A good-natured bundle of early teen femme angst pitched squarely at the youngsters who've made Louise Rennison's books a hit on both sides of the pond. I love that sentence. Good-natured bundle of early teen femme angst.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sounds like our target demographic.
Yeah.
This is what Common Sense Media had to say. Parents need to know that the 2008 British film Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging is a comic look at teenagers working their way through the confusing and treacherous stop along the way that is adolescence. Dating, friendship, divorced parents, selfishness, honesty, peer pressure, kissing, and sexual urges are all examined here by brave 14 through 16-year-olds. One boy offers his services as a kissing coach to multiple female clients, and lots of serious kissing by fully clothed kids is seen. A girl claims to be gay in order to discourage a male suitor. Language includes bitch, ass, and bazooms. Girls perform the pencil test, each girl pushing her own breast towards the middle to see if a pencil will stay up or fall to the ground. The very top of a girl's thong is shown for less than a second. A boy admits that the first thing he looks at in a girl is her breasts.
I love how they're so detailed when they list the offenses.
I know. They're like parents need to know that you see a thong for less than a second.
The audience score was 71% and the Letterboxd average star rating was 3.3 stars. So it's all pretty even between the critics and the audiences. A few audience opinions. I got these from Letterboxd. This one person said, they're quoting a line in the movie, Angus looks like he's in Brokeback Mountain is genuinely one of the funniest lines to ever be spoken in a film because one, it has absolutely no relevance to anything going on in the scene. Two, why is Brokeback Mountain the first film that comes to your head when commenting on the appearance of your cat? And three, the entire family laughed, which implies that they've all seen Brokeback Mountain, possibly together. I'm going insane. Another person said, I really do love this film, but it actually makes me quite sad. Like, what the fuck? I want a sex god boyfriend who likes me just the way I am. Another person said, when this movie came out, I was maybe 10, and I tried to tell my mom I wanted to watch it, but I was too embarrassed to say thongs, so I had to write it down. And lastly, 13-year-old me really cried after finding out Aaron Taylor Johnson was engaged to an old hag instead of me. Finally, as far as cultural context goes, I was looking into the history of the books a little bit, and I found out that this book series is, I'm guessing they're probably referring to the first book, is number 35 on the American Library Association's list of frequently challenged or banned books from 2000 to 2009. Georgia's frequently disrespectful attitude towards her parents and other authority figures have contributed to the challenges, as well as sexual content, profanity, age inappropriateness, and the references to homosexuality. In 2009, the book was challenged at the Maplewood Middle School Library in Wisconsin, leading the school to require parental consent before allowing students to have access to it.
It happened with Harry Potter back in the day. Like, there were all these court cases about it. It's very interesting, but
yeah.
So banning a book only makes it more interesting.
Yeah, like, when will bitches learn that if you don't want your child to get into something, you should be like, this is what this thing is, you have access to it. They literally won't care. If you provide it for them, it's just like European children with alcohol. It's like they try it when they're 12 or whatever, and they're just like, it's demystified. If you can demystify something for kids, they will lose interest. It's really not hard, and I wish everybody could just grasp that.
With their little brains.
Yes.
We're just going to get right into the second half because we have Mila on the line, and she's about to bring the energy. So I watched this movie for free on Pluto TV. I had to suffer through a lot of ads, but...
Yeah, I was like doing that thing where like when the ad breaks are required, you have another tab pulled up where you watch something else.
Yes, I was muting it and then watching TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get through it.
Yeah. So go give it a watch and meet us back here. Okay, everybody, welcome back. We are so excited to have the one, the only Mila Tequila here with us. Yay!
Woo! Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're so excited that this is happening. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
finally.
Right.
Yes.
So, obviously, we're talking about Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging today. And so I guess just to get the ball rolling, my first question is, when did you see this movie for the first time?
Okay, so I have like two different connections to this movie, I think, that are important to note. One of them is that my mom is from England.
Oh.
So I'm a British citizen. I also was a One Direction fan. So I had that double whammy of like, I love England. And like everyone was like, I wish I was British. I wish I had an accent. Like 2012, I was knee deep in that.
Nice.
And then Nickelodeon used to play this movie sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was watching it as a British citizen, as a One Direction fan who like just was dying to get more England content, and then also just as like a tween watching Nickelodeon, and I was obsessed with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like thirsting for him was a major part of watching this movie. And then I was just obsessed with this movie, and it used to play a lot, and for some reason I've hardly met any people that know this movie.
I don't really understand how the production company, like, how did this movie come about, because it seems kind of convoluted, but ultimately it's a Nickelodeon movie. So, like, I feel like maybe there's multiple distributors or something.
Yeah.
There are.
Yeah.
It was just distributed by Nickelodeon in the US. It's based on a series of books. I don't know if you knew that.
Right.
Yeah. I read all the books, too, after, because I was so obsessed with them. I read, like, 8 of the books. There's so many.
Oh, my God.
How are the books?
They're really good. Like, I haven't read them since I was 12, but I remember that I really liked them. I have some stuff in my notes about the books, like the snogging scale. We don't hear the full snogging scale in the movie, but I have it written down.
Oh my god.
In case anyone wants to know.
We're going to come back to the snogging scale because I definitely want to hear. I had never seen this ever until we decided to cover this movie now.
Wow.
I know.
It's so good.
It is good. I really enjoyed it. But my question is, like, how was this on Nickelodeon?
It played in the Teen Nick block.
Okay.
Like at night, so it was playing around like the time that Degrassi was playing. So
okay.
I think you can kind of like they got away. And I remember thinking that like, oh my god, this is kind of racy, which is part of the reason why I loved it so much. Because I was like, wow, like I'm an adult.
I could totally see that because even as I was watching it, I was like, they're touching their boobs full on right now, like. Like there's a lot of boob touching in this movie.
Before we talk about that, I want to ask you about like the inspiration and like the beginnings of your YouTube channel. Like what was the thing that made you be like, okay, I'm gonna make this video and see what happens?
I've been a huge phase person. Like I go through phases a lot. Like I get it from my dad. It's his fault. And my particular one that I was in like 2017, 2018 was my 2000s phase. I just started. I was coming off my 90s phase that I was going through all through high school. So I started my 2000s phase and I was watching Laguna Beach and then I watched a little bit of The Hills. I was so deep in this and like obsessed with like old videos of Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton and like trying to dig up old stuff. I was looking for YouTube videos about it because I was like, someone's got to have made like an in-depth YouTube video about this stuff that I could just watch and know all the information. Because me and my friend were talking about it. We're like, what is the story? Like, there's got to be more to the story. We need to find it. We couldn't find anything. And I was so shocked that I was like, I kept joking with everyone. I was like, guys, I'm just going to do it myself. If no one's going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. Like, half joking, but I wanted people to be like, no, do it.
Yeah.
But no one was ever going to like force me to make the YouTube video. Yeah, literally. And so I was just like, when quarantine came, I got laid off and I was sitting around and I started Googling Lindsay Lohan stuff, making a Google Doc for me and my friend. And then I eventually, like, I turned the Google Doc into the script of my first video. The first video was like a chunk of my original, like the whole thing was going to be like one long Lindsay Lohan video. But I was like, I need to get something out fast. I want to do this because I made a TikTok, which is where we originally started communicating. I had a TikTok that I had made where I was like, these are videos I would make on YouTube if I had a channel. And everyone was like, please make a channel and do this. And I was like, okay, I really want to do this now. And so I like put together something really fast. It was just like a chunk of the middle of my Lindsay video. Yeah. And I made that into the Lindsay and Paris video. And then I did Lindsay into a 2-part video.
So since then, obviously you've made a lot of videos and they've all like popped off. Your YouTube channel is amazing. I love it so much.
Thank you.
And I have to commend your thumbnails.
Thank you so much.
Thumbnails are important.
Thank you. Finally, someone's talking about the real news.
So, upon your rewatch, Mila, what were some of the highlights for you, would you say?
I like had a really strong connection to this movie. I loved it so much. I had it recorded on my TiVo. I rewatch it all the time. And I just, like, when I was rewatching, I was like, I love Georgia Groom as a lead. Like, she is so charming, and, like, she's a terrible, like, everyone that watches this movie is like, Georgia's an asshole. Like, and that's, like, the whole point. But it's, like, you still love her, and I love characters like that. Like, I love Never Have I Ever. I love Davy. Like, I love a character that's, like, a total asshole, but, like, you have to still love them, and that's exactly what she is, and she's just so charming that she's able to play this character and still make it charismatic, and I wish I'd seen her in more stuff. I literally don't think I've ever seen her in anything else. But I love her in this movie, and I was like, I love her as the main character. I don't think many people could have pulled that off. And the whole main cast, like all the girls, they have such good chemistry. I love it.
Yes.
Does she like align to who you would imagine from reading it? Or did you see the movie before reading it?
I did see the movie before reading it, but when I was reading it, I was like, it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the... It's like... You ever read the Click books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how, like, in the Click books, like, they're... Like, in the movies, they're mean, but, like, in the books, they're evil. Yeah. Like, they're demons. Like, that's kind of, like... It's a little bit like that. And, like, the movie Before I Fall, I don't know if y'all have seen that one, but that's a book that got turned into a movie. In the book, she's a, like, literal demon. Like, it's actually scary for her family. And I would say Georgia is, like, a little bit meaner in the books, but, like, it's obvious that, like, if you're making a movie for teens, you can't make your main character, like... a fucking demon, because then the parents will be like, what's going on? But I think it's still pretty faithful. Like, I I wouldn't watch it and say I would cast someone else. I think she was pretty good for it.
No, they really I feel like with all the YA books, they're able to get away with so much more because the parents don't, they're not going to put in the effort to read the book versus watching.
Yeah, watching the movie, it's like they're there with them, so they're like, all right, we got to take out all the crazy shit we put in the books.
Yeah.
Right. I'll say one thing that stood out to me about this movie, and I did like it about it, is that it's almost like a tween British PG-13 rated version of American Pie or something like that.
That's so true.
The unmitigated proto horniness of this movie is insane to me.
And that's actually really interesting that you say that, because it's so true. And they did try to make a gender bent American Pie, and it sucked. It sucked so bad. And it's they could never it's just the sheer young fun girlhood of this movie. I literally wrote that in my notes. I was just pure girlhood, and I love it. Them running around and laughing and screaming. Also the soundtrack. Oh my god.
Yeah, the soundtrack.
There were a couple songs in there that were so heavy-handedly this song was in a commercial in my childhood.
Yeah.
The one that's I'm just a little bit.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm what is this from? But it is a commercial.
Everything. It's from everything.
Exactly.
Was it an Apple commercial?
I was thinking that could be it. It's it's what Lizzo is gonna be in 15 years. When people hear Lizzo, they're gonna be oh, that was in that.
Or Harry Styles' music for a sushi restaurant. It's gonna be oh, it's the commercial song.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, he's gonna get reduced to the commercial.
The guy from One Direction that was in the Apple commercial.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote down a lot of just quotes of lines that I thought were really funny, the let's do handstands.
Let's do handstands.
For some reason that really got me. I was like that
going to the pool with your crush and going all right, now let's hold our breath underwater and see who can do it the longest.
Yeah, and I thought it was so cute because that is exactly what I was like at the pool at that age.
Also, I remember that when I was younger, I would forget that they're supposed to be 14 in this movie.
I think she does look 14, but he doesn't, at all.
No.
It looks... But they actually are only 1 year apart.
Tom looks way older than that. That's a young man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a teenager.
Well, when the movie started, I was oh, it's gonna be an Aquamarine situation where he's way older than them.
Yeah, and she just has a crush on him.
Yes,
right.
I thought it was gonna be
so
that.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was oh.
Not gonna lie, I didn't think he was actually gonna give her the time of day. I kind of forgot about
Same.
that, but then he does, and it's sweet. I was going through Letterboxd reviews for this, and somebody was like, "This movie is so good, but it makes me so sad because the guy that I liked that looked like him never looked at me." So
yes,
it just makes
that
me
was
sad.
another thing that I liked about this movie when I was younger. It was so wish fulfilling. I was
yes.
oh, because she starts the movie being kind of nerdy. She's on the outside. She shows up to the party wearing it's very Mean Girls coded, except that her friends backstabbed her. Also, I have a lot of unpopular opinions that I think people might hate me for, but I have a lot to say about the friends in this movie because Georgia's an asshole, but her friends do messed up shit all the time and never get called out for it because she's being the bigger asshole. But I'm no, you were being really weird too.
Yeah.
And I feel that about so many things in this movie, but it's very Mean Girls coded at the beginning. She shows up to the party and then she gets the guy at the end
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask what the unpopular opinions are, other than just the friends also suck.
She takes out Dave the Laugh. Also, I wrote a thing in my notes about how there's so much stuff in this movie, the lingo that they use, British slang that they use, that it's all funny, but it also never sounds right when you say it with an American accent.
Right.
Dave the Laugh, that sounds so stupid with an American accent. It sounds so dumb. Or Ming and Minger. Or that sounds racist when I say it with an American accent. It doesn't sound right.
It does.
Snogging. Even just the title of the movie, Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging. It sounds so funnily terrible without it. But
yes.
So she takes out the guy Dave. She could have gone about this so much better. She could have gotten away with that, but we won't get into that. And then her friend literally goes and like says to Dave and the other guy, she's like, yeah, Georgia was just taking him out to make Robbie jealous. Why'd she say that? Why would she say that?
Yeah.
Like, it was enough that Georgia had to reject the kiss at the end of the date. And then she goes and literally backstabs her. Georgia's mad, and she's like, well, if you wouldn't have gone and done all that scheming, like, Robbie wouldn't have been scared off anyway. I was like, you didn't think it was a bad idea. You didn't think it was a bad idea until Robbie thought it was a bad idea. Like, I hate it. And she gets so bad, and then she kicks her at the thing because she's like, I gave you a 4 for your nose. She gave her the low ratings in the physical attractiveness score.
Yeah.
And it's just so mean. And then she kicks her in the shins and she gets in trouble and has to pick up garbage. I was like, I'm on her side. Jazz did deserve that. Like, she knew it. She was like riling her up on purpose. Like, you wanted to get kicked. What else did you want her to do? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. You're lucky it was a kick in the shin and not a punch in the face. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of that scene, okay, so there's like a running thing that happens on Sleepover all the time, which is like, we started off and we were like, this movie seems gay. And then it got to the point where we were like, I'm so sick of people saying this movie seems gay in general. And I feel like this movie is like a perfect example of one that people would say could be twisted in that way very easily. Because like they bring up being a lesbian a lot.
Yeah.
You know
I think
what
that's
I'm
also
saying?
just like a late 2000s media sensibility about it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And it's weirdly like not even in the it's not even in the way of being like, oh, that's so gay type thing. It's like actually calling each other lesbians. Like, you're a
Literally.
lesbo. Like,
Yeah.
And the passing that was another thing with the note. Like, she did not have to say she was a lesbian to get out of kissing that guy. He was weird.
Yeah.
He's weird. You didn't have to kiss him. Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It was, and when she, like, even the date with Dave, like, because of that whole situation, he gets painted as like this sweet angel. Like, no, he was literally on that date being like, I guess the first thing I noticed about a girl is her tits. I call them nunga nungas. Like, he was not being Prince Charming on that date. Like, he did not really deserve a second date anyway.
Yes.
I was like, she could have got away with that if she wasn't like, ugh.
There's like a comically low level of accountability for every single man in this story. Like,
Yes.
like the guy, like the makeout instructor, like pushing her into a bush and then her underwear is showing. Like, hello.
He like still to this day, but I remember when I would watch this when I was 12. His like he made me like irate. Like, just looking at him, like his hair, I was just like, get him away from her. Like. And when I was watching it this time, I was like, I skipped through the scene with the makeouts. I was like, watched this movie enough times. I've seen it.
Yeah.
As an adult, don't know if I want to watch it again.
Yes.
No, seriously, it made me a little uncomfortable. Like, as an adult viewing this, I was like, this is.
I actually
creepy.
like rewound it because it started happening and then I was like, wait. Like, is this actually like a workshop in making out? Like, am I interpreting this correctly?
I watched this with my parents as a tween because I love this movie so much. I was like, you guys gotta watch this.
Oh, no.
And I like kind of forgot that scene was in it. And I remember when I got to that scene, I was like, this is way longer than I remember it being. And like my parents were like, what the fuck? And I was like, sorry guys, I don't know. It's just like a weird scene. But it was way longer than it's one of those things. It's like, it's way worse when you watch it with a parent. Also, did anyone else notice he has a gigantic poster of Hugh Grant in his bedroom?
No.
He goes to turn on the music and there's just like a massive just like a Getty Images photo printed on like poster paper of Hugh Grant.
What the
I was like,
hell?
that's so. I mean, maybe that's like a part of English culture that I'm just not privy to. Like,
Yeah.
maybe Hugh Grant is like. I mean, obviously he's the rom-com star, so like maybe it's like a young man like him would be like aspiring to be.
Right.
I don't know. I was like, it just feels so hilarious. Like, even in America, you'd never have someone have like a huge poster of Ashton Kutcher in the room and be like, yeah, girls like him, so I like him too.
Yeah, to have the poster, that's like a different thing.
Again, that feels like a gay thing too. It's like he's the makeout instructor because he's not gay, but then he has this giant poster of Hugh Grant on the wall. Like, I can see it.
I mean, we also have like the guy that Georgia thinks her mom is like cheating on her dad with is also a gay man, and that was a twist that I didn't see coming because I actually thought that it's not that I thought that they had hooked up or anything. It's more that I thought that the divorce was like writing on the wall. Like I kind of thought that like they were going to get a divorce and she was going to like grow from it or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like a last minute reversal thing where she's like, no, your dad's right there. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I think is like less conventional when put to screen. But like in a book, I feel like it's not, I don't know, I feel like the turns of that storyline make more sense when you read it in a book than in a movie. Like if you think about it, like her mom's like in the background of all the main plot, her mom is like getting closer with this builder guy that's super hot and all of her friends are all thirsting over him. And then later on in the story, she finds out that like he's actually gay and his partner's the whole reason why they're having this big party and like her dad's coming back and he's not moving. And I think that like when you watch that in the movie, now when I was watching, I was like, that made a lot more sense in the book.
Yeah. Yes. And it's just fast. It's just like I can totally see how it would translate better in a book.
I will say that even if the mom had been cheating that blatantly, like I would have bought it in the world of this movie because there is this level to it where the girl characters are allowed to be such assholes and to act out and like be weird about guys in the same way that boys normally are in movies. And I really appreciated that about this movie. I was like, they're all little shitheads and it's great. It's allowed, you know? Like, and another thing too was kind of like an undertone that I got in this scene where Georgia's like crying about the guy fucking her over, and then her mom comes in and is like, men always do this, like your father is still doing this to me, basically. I was like, that's kind of sad. Like it had like a legitimate darkness to it in that moment to me, and I was like, wow, there's something subtextually going on here. I thought
it is sad, but it's so real.
It is so real.
It's sad, but it's so real, and it's like
so real.
When I was watching this, I was like tearing up. I was like, "This is a good scene."
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah,
like when her mom, like when Jazz translates, she's like, "Jazz spill," and then fade to black for commercial, and then you come back and she's like there was the part where they do the pencil test. Also, pencil test, huge part of my childhood because of this movie. And at one point, that's like, I always remembered her saying, my mom can fit a whole pencil case up there. That is a quote that I really remembered from this part. But the part I didn't remember is when she says that the queen has huge boobs. And then, like, she has a special bra that pushes her boobs into her armpits so she doesn't look common. Like, I had to pause the movie and laugh. So I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, she just, like, throws that joke and it, like, goes on for a little bit longer than normal. And, like, Jazz doesn't really even react to it. It's just, like, she just says it. And I was like, wait, that was so unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah. Jess, this is another small note, but I love it and also hate it when like movies of this genre, like I also think of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, decide to like zoom in on a guy's very unremarkable butt. Like
yes, when they zoomed in, I was like, okay, it was so flat. I was like, you can't just show me an ass and be like, huh?
I know. It's like
nothing
not
going on.
even like. And that, I don't know, it's very like female gazy or like the reversal of whatever it normally is, but it's like the concave butt that's so funny to me. Like every time I wrote that down. It's not the first time and it won't be the last, but I do appreciate it. It makes me chuckle.
I remember when that, like, in, like, 2012, when people started posting pictures of, like, Nick Jonas's ass, and then it was always, like, baseball pants, and I was like, okay, where are we going? What's going on here? I didn't know this was the next turn.
I don't like that. Wait, okay, so, Mila, this is a question I have about your origins.
Okay.
Were you, like, did you date in high school? Were you, like, boy crazy in, like, an outward-facing way? Like, what was your relationship like with boys in high school, middle school?
Okay, I was definitely, it's hard to explain. I was definitely boy crazy, but like I had really strict parents. So it was like, I wasn't like dating all these people. I had friends who had boyfriends, and like I definitely had a million crushes, and like crushes that spanned years and years that like I would never even like say anything to them. And then I had one boyfriend, but it wasn't even, I didn't even really like him was the thing. He like I was a cheerleader and he was like the quarterback of the flag football team.
Ooh, oh my God.
And so I was like, and he asked me out. Well, we did accelerated. This is like kind of a long, convoluted story.
No, please.
It's like we did accelerated reading. I don't know if y'all did that in school, but it's like you have to read a certain amount of books to get points, and if you don't have enough points, you'd have to read during recess. And so I had a guy friend that came up to me and was like, yo, my friend wants to know if you'll date him. And I was like, where? And I'm like looking onto the blacktop for the boys like at recess, and he's like, oh no, he's over there, and points to the AR bench. And I was like, oh no, honey. I was like, absolutely not. I'm like, definitely no. He was a new student that year, and I was just like, yeah, no, I don't even know him. And like he was in all the regulars classes, so we didn't even have classes together because I was in honors. And then he keeps asking me out. He friends me on Facebook and like non-stop messages me being like, will you date me? Want to date me? He friends me on Uvu, always like, want to date me? So I eventually was just like, fine. I eventually was like, okay, fine. And we dated, and like he was my first kiss. And like we used to like meet at the water fountain and hug. And then like and then I broke up with him because I was like, my dad said I can't have a boyfriend. Like I was just like, he stressed me out so much because I was like, if my dad finds out I have a boyfriend, I'm dead. And that was like my only boy experience until I was like 16. I went on a couple dates that were like mind-blowingly bad. Like I'm talking like there was one where oh my god, like there's so many bad things I can't even like say them all right now, but like this one day was just like catastrophically bad, and like it was just like the most like why did I put up with this type things. Like he drove so bad, he drove the super nasty truck that I did not know he drove until he showed up and picked me up, and like he's like doing all these things. It's like, I'm such a gentleman, right? And like where my hug at type stuff. And then we go to a party the next day and he's like blowing vape smoke on me, like and thinking that that's like hot, and I was like, what have I done? And like I had really bad experiences with guys, and then I started dating my current boyfriend when I was a freshman in college, and we've been together since then.
Wow. So a journey.
Yeah, but I was very like, I loved One Direction. I loved like any boy that Tumblr put in front of me. I was like thirsting. I had like a Brooklyn Beckham phase. Like I did it all. I've been around the way.
Nice. Audrey and I both were not boy crazy at all. Well, no, I had big crushes. I was like a big crusher, but like in media, was there really ever anyone? I don't think. Audrey,
my best friend all through middle school was that type of person. Like she never had crushes in real life. I was like, think someone's cute. They don't have to be that cute. Just come on, latch yourself to someone.
I definitely would force Audrey to have like crushes on boys in real life. Like I had crushes on boys in real life. Like I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Audrey and I got these matching notebooks. We're sisters. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I figured. Okay. I was stalking you guys on Instagram. I was like, I think they're sisters. You had a bunch of pictures of childhood together.
Yes. And so we got these matching notebooks, and I turned mine into like top 10 crush ranking like notebook, and it was like I did a drawing of every guy on each page and then like rated, like you know in the Sims when it's like personality whatever, I did like a rating of like every like trait and then wrote about like the good things and the bad things. And then I was like, Audrey, do it too, and she was like
The only reason I didn't do that as a kid is because no one ever presented the idea to me. I definitely would have been obsessed with that idea if someone had told me about it.
Yes, and I know where that notebook is too, so I can.
I was a very like listicle person too. Like I was making a list of absolutely anything I could think of. Like I'm ranking everything. I have so many notebooks where I would just like write a numbered list of like all my friends, just like write all their names, just because like. Yeah, I like to write stuff.
Yes. That also reminds me, it's kind of the same, but not, that Audrey in her notebooks used to play tic-tac-toe against imaginary me and make herself win every time.
Okay, the weird thing is, it wasn't even tic-tac-toe. This is like a game that I made up that is not a real game. It was not tic-tac-toe.
That's so me. Like, I made up a game that I pretended to play with someone else.
Yeah.
I'm an only child, so, like, I did a lot of, like, in my notebook, just, like, embellishing things, even though I, as an older person, would go back and read them and be like, that obviously didn't happen. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you lying to? Me? Like
you're lying to your future self.
Yeah. Like, me and all my friends this weekend, like, girl, you're 7.
Yeah.
But I was super boy crazy. I definitely was. I was always forcing my friend to like have crushes and stuff.
Yes.
I don't know, just like even watching a movie, like I love to like pick out my little crush and be like, I like that one.
Yeah.
Like, if I lived in this world, like, that's the one.
Yeah.
And, like, I just still loved it. I love consuming media that way. I think it's fun.
Yes.
I think it helps you get through a lot of stuff.
Yes. I get what you're saying. Audrey, do you
Yeah.
have any anecdotes about this sort of thing?
Say, first of all, as far as media, I think my only real example of that is Corbin Bleu. He was my favorite for sure, and I like had the poster up, but that's like literally like my only example.
I was like, every guy that Disney Channel put in front of me, I was like, oh yeah, that's the new one. Like Jesse
Yeah.
McCartney, Zac Efron, Corbin Bleu, like literally any, like I was like, oh yeah, that's the
Yeah.
new one.
Yeah.
Next up for me. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was taking it
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. And then, yeah, as far as like, you know, when everybody hits like 5th grade or 6th grade, everybody just starts asking each other to like be boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. So basically every week it would be like some different kid asking me to be their girlfriend. And I'd be like, I actually said no to like all of them except for
Wait, really?
one
Boss.
or two. Yeah.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Have you ever told the Boneyard story on the podcast?
No, but it's pretty simple. Just like this kid.
It's worth it. It's worth saying.
This kid called our home phone like it was a landline, and his
Like looked up
dad-
our number.
Yeah, well, I think like in the school directory, like there was like
I have a story of something like that happening too, where he went in like the aftercare binder and like got her mom's cell number and called it, and I was like,
yeah. Yeah, this kid, he, his dad owned this, like, arcade-type place called the Boneyard, but I didn't know what the Boneyard was. So he called the house, and my mom picked up, and I think I was in the basement or something, and she was like, because there was a phone down there, too. I think she was like, pick up the phone or something, and then I don't remember talking to him if I did or not, but I do remember that he left a message another time where he was like, would you go to the Boneyard with me? And I was like,
It was just iconic at the time.
I don't think I responded.
What did you think it was? Like a...
I don't even
We
know.
have a place in my hometown called the Boneyard, and it's like a scrap parts, like car.
Yeah.
You know, like where, like
Yes.
a junkyard.
That's
like,
what you
and
would
it's called the
think.
Boneyard. That's what I would have thought it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Like,
that's probably
It's
what
actually
I
kind of
thought.
scary. Why would you meet me there?
Yeah. And then years later, we were in Florida at a restaurant that we always used to go to, and he was there. Like, we're from Ohio. And he literally,
Oh my god!
literally, he was there, and I was like, why? What the fuck?
That's
He
crazy.
totally clocked me, and I clocked him, and I was just like, well, that's it.
Back to the movie. Mila, were there any particularly bad things or like things that weren't as good as you remembered in the movie when you watched it, or was it still just like 10 out of 10?
It's
No
an
notes?
all-time classic.
See, that's the thing. It's like I wish I could like erase my memory of it and rewatch it now as an adult without having my nostalgia for it. Like I think that about so many different things because I'm like, there's a reason why people our age like watch new Disney Channel shows and they're like, it's not good. I'm like, yeah, 'cause you're
Yeah.
not a child,
Right,
Like,
right,
Hannah
right.
Montana also was not good at all, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I could go back and like even with my nostalgia, I'm like, this is a little bit painful.
Yes.
But like I wish I could watch this without my nostalgia because like I do know that it's affecting everything that I say about it, but it's like I do still think it's so good. The third act starts so slow, like in between Peter Dyer harassment at the party and
Yeah.
then her dad, like when she goes to his office, like that area gets a little slow. And I remember thinking that. I remember when I was a kid, like watching this movie felt like watching two movies, kind of.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it feels like you get a little bit of resolution, like at one point, and then like everything goes to shit again, and then like
Yeah.
it wraps up the major plot lines. But like I don't know, and I know we're supposed to be talking about things that we don't like, but I have always been so obsessed with that final scene after they play Ultraviolet, which I still listen to all the time.
It's
That
a
is
great
in my Apple
song.
Music library right now. I love
Yeah.
that song. But like right after they play it, Lindsay shows up, she unplugs the stuff, and then she's a lad nabbing lech. Like the different like they just go back to back to back with all the hits of like these crazy ass phrases, and then I quote this one part so much that like it's what made one of my friends go and watch it. We were like freshmen in college. She was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "You need to watch this movie," because I always do the part where he's like, she goes, "You think I'm perfect?" And he goes, "I think you're mad, but you're perfect for me." Like, I say that so often. Like, anytime someone says anything's perfect, I'm like, "You think I'm perfect?"
You think I'm perfect?
I think you're mad. You're perfect for me.
It's just like the best part of any movie I've ever watched. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't, like, after watching that scene, it's like everything that was wrong with the movie just is immediately erased from my head. Like, this is a cinematic masterpiece.
I didn't even expect Lindsay to come back. I thought the end of them was going to be that little shot of them in the empty room, you know, her and her friend in the empty room. I thought that was the end, and that was her just desserts. But no, she comes back, and I also
find that part pretty unrealistic, like that everyone, like the entirety of Eastbourne goes to her party and no one goes to Lindsay's party. Because I'm like, Lindsay's been a bad person the entire movie, allegedly.
Right.
So why would people automatically stop liking her all of a sudden? But I mean, but I always try to justify it with being like, maybe it's because it's like this sick, hot new club. Like, maybe people were like, because I do know teenagers are finicky like that. They could be like, "You're my best friend," but like, they're having it the hottest club ever. Like, sorry. I do know that could be true. So it's like, I do excuse them. But I'm like, they should have had some people there. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Someone would have gone.
The teenagers betraying each other thing goes back to the beginning with them not dressing up as the other condiments.
Oh my God.
At the party.
That is so real.
Which I did want to just say, it's like we're back full circle. That opening was so good and funny. Her running around town
in the olive and like all the different people reacting to it.
It was so good. It was so good. But I was gonna say about the ending is like it just goes full wish fulfillment for a 14-year-old girl, and I do appreciate that. You know, like
the big kiss on the stage, like the fireworks.
Yes. And like the mean girl with the chicken cutlets, and like actually the guy's gay, and like dad's back, and like everything is just perfect.
And then she matches up Day of the Laugh with one of her friends.
Yes.
And like, so everyone's happy at the end, everyone has a man. And I was like, why didn't we do this before? So I literally was like, I had like a huge smile on my face, like kicking my feet, twirling my hair. Like, it was so, like, I was so happy at the end of the movie. I was just like, how can I not smile? I did actually catch myself with like a huge genuine smile on my face. I was like, I'm like such a cornball. Like, I really do love this movie though. Oh, do you guys want to hear the snogging scale?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So the first 1 through 7 are all in the movie. It's step 1, holding hands, which some of them, okay. And I've seen, when I Googled this, see, you were smart. You thought to go on Letterboxd where people talk about movies. My immediate thought was like, go on Reddit and see what people are saying. And so I went and I like, there's not many people talking about it on Reddit, which I was sad about.
Yeah.
And, but there was one, it was like British people asking Americans. It was like a r/ask an American. And they're like, do you guys know about this movie? And everyone, which I'm assuming they're all older than, like, we are age range. Yeah. And they were like, no, I've never even heard of it. And I was like, you don't represent me. And so I was just annoyed. And, like, there was, like, this one person that had this whole list of, like, unrealistic things. And one of the thing was, like, the stuff on the snogging scale isn't even all snogging. And I was like, yeah, no shit.
Right.
But, so the 10 stages of snogging. Step 1, holding hands. 2, arms around waist. 3, goodnight kiss. That's the first one that's a kiss, is number 3.
Yeah, right.
4, 3-minute kiss without breath. And that is another one that's on the list. It's like, if you kiss without breath for 3 minutes, you're dead. I'm like, no, they mean like coming out of the kiss and like, and then like going back in. Like, it's obvious, like your faces are stuck together for 3 minutes. Like, obviously you're breathing through your nose when you kiss, duh. Okay. 5, open mouth kissing. 6, tongues. 7, upper body fondling outdoors. And I think some people were confused about what the outdoors. But it's like outside of your top is what they mean by outdoors. Oh. And then, and then number 8, this is the book ones, upper body fondling indoors, that's inside your top. And then 9 is BWA, below waist activity. And then 10 is sex.
Wow.
And those are the 10 stages of snogging. There's also like half steps in there, like ear snogging and hand snogging. And it's like, in the list it's written, it's like, ask Jazz about that one. Like, it's written very like journally. It's so cute. I love those books. Yeah,
that's really cute. Okay, I'm so glad you clarified indoor outdoor, because in my mind I was like, okay, outdoor fondling What I'm
I
thinking,
remember, yeah.
what I was thinking for that is like, okay, so what are they implying that like it can't escalate because they're outdoors? Like that's what I assumed, but I wasn't.
I remember when I was younger, I was like, outdoors, like wouldn't outdoors be the riskier one because you're like in front of people? Like wouldn't that be higher on the scale? But when you read the books, they explain it.
That's so funny. Thank you so much for educating us on
yeah,
the scale.
I had to.
We need to know that.
And that's like a thing that's in the book. There's like a lot of scales, which that was only one of the many scales that, because like I said, the book is written very journally, and like her narration is kind of part of the, you know, from the writing of the book. And there's like the, what do they call it? It's like the freak out scale or something. Like when there's a scene where Jazz is like, I'm about to have a nervy bee, and then she's like. And she's like, there's no need to have a breakdown. I think that they're referencing the, like, freak-out scale. Nervy B is, like, number 7 on the freak-out scale. Oh. And it's like, you're having a nervous breakdown. And,
they
like, there's a whole freak-out scale.
B.
And I'm
so
about
cute.
to have a nervy B. I think, and it's so funny because I have seen some people, which, like, I'm obviously, like, I'm not from England, so I can't say whether or not, but like I've seen some people say that like the language in this movie is like no one talks like that, but I'm like, when I hear my mom and her friends talk, this is like how it sounds to me. Like they're saying a bunch of shit that I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like y'all just making up words right now. And like so like whether that's like an outside looking in thing that only makes sense to people who aren't British, I don't know, but it's like that's how y'all sound, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe figure that out.
Yeah. Well, it's like I wonder if like British people would hear like the language in like Clueless and be like, that's what Americans sound like. I do know that like they did that what's it called, Heartbreak High. It's like a reboot of an old Australian show, and there's one scene where this character's like, not the bayang, the bayang, and he's recording someone, and people were posting on Twitter be like, what the fuck were they thinking? And people were like, that's what y'all sound like. So like I don't know what y'all like this like teenagers run around like sounding like that, like just saying stuff from the internet. Like I'm guilty of it too, so it's like it's not that far off. Like that's actually the most accurate thing.
Okay, so normally to wrap up our discussions of the movies we cover, we will say, is it good? Is it worth rewatching? We know how you feel. So my question is, you have 2 sentences to pitch to someone why they should watch this movie.
I think the thing about this movie is that like prime watching time is when you're young. Like once you're in your 20s, like it's not that it's not going to be good anymore, but it's like it's so fucking good when you're like 14 watching this movie. Oh my god, it's like a masterpiece. It's like I didn't get to I watched Mean Girls when I was super young, but like my rewatches when it was like coming back into the cultural zeitgeist in like 2012, 2013, like those rewatches are so important to me because it's like I watched that at like the perfect age of like I'm glad because like I showed the movie, my boyfriend had never seen it, we watched it recently, and I was like, I wish I could have watched this when we were teenagers because like it's so good to watch like when you're that age and you're like in high school and like all this crazy shit's happening, like, and I think that's the thing about Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging because also I come away and be like, I keep being like, Aaron Taylor Johnson's so cute, and as an adult I don't have that like opinion about someone who was probably like 17, but it's like I'm thinking back to like 14-year-old me like watching this and like blushing and giggling looking at him and like thinking he's so cute because he is way older than me. But it's funny how like, you know, when you watch stuff from when you're younger and like technically the person is like locked being 16, but that person's like 40 now, and I'm sitting here feeling weird about like having a crush on him. Okay, I think I got my 2 sentences.
All right,
you should watch Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging because it's incredible coming of age teen movie. Unadulterated girl joy, British slang, awesome music, cat.
That was good.
Perfect.
That's all you need to know. That's pretty much everything you need to know about the movie.
Yes. We didn't talk about the fact that Angus is scary, but he is scary looking.
He's also played by 2 separate cats. I saw that in the credits. I was like, I wonder if they had, and I was like, I bet they had one to be like the calm cat that's like in the scenes with the little girl, and then they had one that was like a stunt cat for like the scene where he like scratches the boy and runs away. Like I bet that's why it was 2 different cats.
I always think it's so funny in like in sound design when they will add like a really vicious cat sound the absolute second that you can no longer see the cat's face.
Yeah, the cat's like in the face. It's like so relaxed and chill that the second it's out of here, it's like
yeah.
I always think that's so funny. They do it with babies too. They do it all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I love when they show the baby's face and still they do the crying sounds. Baby's like, it's like like it's obviously not crying like that.
Yeah, which is like
that's That's kind of another thing from the book is, like, the title of the movie, Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging. When you watch that, you're like, yeah, I think it puts an idea in your mind of what's going to be in the movie that's completely not what the movie is.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that I didn't pay too much attention to that when I think that, like, the salacious kind of title is probably what got me, like, excited to watch it when I was, like, 12.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I didn't think too much on that. The book is called Angus, Thongs, and Full Frontal Snogging. And they call it full frontal. And she says it in the movie, I think. She's like, you're full-on, full frontal snog.
Yes.
And, like, that's what's called in the book. And because in the book, like, and you think about it, those three things are in the movie, but it's, like, obviously in the book you have more time to go into them, and Angus is way more of a character in all the books than he he is a character in the movies, but, like, he's in it so much more. In the books he's kind of just more with the little sister.
Got it.
But in the books it's like Angus is a main character, and that's why they did kind of there's so many different, like, little Easter eggs that they obviously put for people who are fans of the books, because, like, she is so into Angus. Like, if you look at the background, like, in her bedroom, it's like Angus is God, like, written on the walls. Like, she has a poster. She's got, like, a poster of her with the cat. Like, that's, like, obviously she made it. Like, when he goes on stage, he's wearing the Angus Rock shirt. Like, that doesn't feel deserved, really, in the movie, because Angus isn't in it as much. But, like, it makes so much sense with the book. Because, like, it's, like, her thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
there's just, like, a lot of cute details in everything, and I appreciate that. Like, her bedroom set and, like, all the walls.
Yes.
Like, I love that stuff.
Oh my god, the scene where she, like, decides to redo her life.
Yes.
And she, like, paints the walls, starts doing yoga. That was so aspirational to me when I was a kid. Like, I watched that and I was like, that's... Like, that was, like, the scene in Clueless where Cher starts realizing all of her friends' good qualities. Like, those are on the same level of, like, I watched that and I was like...
When she says, I have to make over my soul.
Yes!
So good.
So good.
Okay, so, you love this movie. I loved viewing this movie. It was great. Audrey, what did you think?
I agree that the third act, like, the transition from second to third act feels slow, and it does feel kind of like you're watching two movies. I agree with that. So if I had a critique, it's that, but I think the movie is so good. I love a good parent-child movie. There's not that many that involve the parents.
Especially a mother-child, like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like Joy Luck Club, and, like, I love, like, a mother-daughter film.
Right. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what this is. I mean, it's pretty well balanced, I guess, between parent and love interest, but I don't know, it's sort of fighting it out. Usually it's a little more clear, like, is this a parent-child thing, or is this, like, a romantic interest?
It's just, and that's another thing that I love, is that, like, right when the movie starts, you've got, like, an onslaught of just, like, things happening to her. I'm like, that is so true when you're 14. Like, literally everything is going wrong, and, like, it's so true. Like, her sister is annoying, and, like, because her sister's annoying and, like, rambunctious, it makes her shave her eyebrow off, and it's the first day of school. Now she has to have these crazy bangs, and, like, and then these cute boys show up at school, and then her parents take her to this embarrassing dinner, and it's like, it's so true. It's so true. Like,
it's all
that
happening.
was the last things keep popping into my mind, which is at the embarrassing dinner when she's just sitting there so pissed to be there. I was like, I remember what that feels like.
It's like being trapped, and you're like in the, like, and putting her in the middle of the booth, locked in on both sides by everyone, is like, that is exactly, like, that's how it feels. Like, you're literally just, like, stuck and you can't go.
And also you can, like, see that nothing actually embarrassing is happening, which is the best part. Like, she's just sitting there, like, wanting to die, and it's just like, girl, nothing's happening, you're just 14. And I love that about it.
It's so true. When you're 14, everything's happening.
Exactly. That's the super short version of what this movie is. When you're 14, everything is happening. So true.
Exactly.
Okay, so Mila, where can our people find you on the internet?
You can find me on youtube.com. All you have to do is search Mila Tequila, spelled just how you think it is. And then on Instagram, I'm Mila Tequila, MilaTequi.la. And then on Twitter, I'm also Mila Tequila, but I'm Mila Tequila YT for YouTube. Yes. And that's it. I'm not really anywhere else.
Yay, cool.
Amazing.
Well, this has been an honor and a privilege.
Thank you so much for having me.
I feel like I was truly educated by a scholar of this movie today. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your passion.
Glad to finally put all this passion to use.
Yeah.
It's been years of telling my friends to watch a British YA movie.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we provided that outlet. You did an amazing job.
Thank you so
we picked
much.
the right
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I had a few that I was like, I could do any of these.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got deep connections to many movies.
Did we not tell you that Mila was going to bring the energy to this discussion of
She
Angus,
brought
Thongs, and Perfect Snogging?
The energy.
Please go watch her videos on YouTube if you haven't seen them, and give her a follow on the platforms listed
Yeah.
but moments ago. And we will be back next week, as always, with another banging episode for you. With that said, I know they can find more from us, Audrey, but could you kindly direct them to where that could happen?
You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at twopinkproductions.com. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Sleepover Cinema and post a full video version of each episode on YouTube every Thursday. You can follow me, Audrey, at Audriana Leach on everything.
And you can follow me, Hannah, at Hannah Ray Leach on Instagram and at Lana Von Trapp on Twitter. And you can, if you're interested, join our Discord server at the link in the episode description, or even on evergreenpodcast.com if you're feeling ambitious.
You can check out our merch at twopinkproductions.com/shop. And you could go on Casetify and you could use our code 15sleepover.
You could give us a review on Apple Podcasts if you wanted to. If you were feeling it, you could do that. And you could even share an episode with a friend, an enemy, your cat. Only if you want, though.
Only if you want. I would never project that onto you.
We would never impose that on you.
I wouldn't do that. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Noel Hoffman, with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Executive producer is Michael D'Aloia.
And you could join us again next week if you want, because we will be here waiting for you.
You could, and maybe you should. I'm gonna say you should.
Just weigh your options. Just give it some thought.
We'll be here.
We'll be here. Okay, bye.
Bye.